What is going on, guys? It's your boy Stephen Baker, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about if beginner lifters should be taking creatine or not. Now, when I first started my fitness journey, there was this big taboo on creatine. You know, it was bad for your kidneys, it's bad for your liver. All the kids that took creatine acted like they were taking a steroid. And, I guess that's still somewhat the case because you see memes about it on Instagram and YouTube about like, oh, that guy takes creatine. And, it's like a joke. And I think it's dying down, thankfully, because you have so many influencers and like actual fitness people that are knowledgeable talking about creatine, the science behind creatine, and even doctors too. But all this kind of taboo, this stemmed from a bunch of, I guess, experiments. I won't say a bunch, but I guess there were like experiments that suggested creatine had a negative effect on the kidneys or the liver and all this stuff. But those experiments and those suggestions have proven to be untrue, and a lot of people are exposing that recently, but it's kind of still in the works of getting that taboo off creatine. You know what I mean? Getting rid of that taboo. You know what I'm saying? Um, there's actually a bunch of studies recently that have suggested, now keyword suggested, and that does not mean this is true, we don't know this yet, but they have suggested that creatine has a positive effect on one's neurological health, which would be pretty cool if it did. But a little bit about the actual chemical or compound of creatine. So creatine is a compound that your body produces naturally, and you can find it in very protein-rich foods like steak, chicken, etc., etc. And its use is it helps improve athletic performance and increase muscle mass. Essentially, what you're doing is it's like a protein powder. I mean, it doesn't work in the same way as a protein powder, but just as your body needs protein, your body produces creatine. So you're taking a little bit more of that. It's not like you're trying to get it in when you can't. But creatine's literally in food. So it's really no different than taking a BCAA, or like, an amino acid or like whey protein powder. It's not that different from that. And it's kind of made out to be a lot more different than that, but it's really not. You got to think of it like that because that's the reality too. Now, a lot of times people will say, in a less more scientific fashion, they'll say, oh, it makes your muscles look fuller or it makes you look, puffier or whatnot. So this is true. Creatine does kind of, if you're deflated, it helps with deflation of the muscle. So if you're on a cut and you're in that deficit, you're having a hard time getting pumps, like creatine does help your muscles kind of puff out. It helps kind of keep that fuller look. It does do this. Now you're not going to look like The Rock because again, it's not a steroid. You're not going to like bulk up tremendously. You have to put in the work, you have to diet, but it does help. It does help, and you do see a difference. Now, granted, I think that, and I think nowadays, because people are so like realistic about creatine now and are spreading the truth about it, the expectations won't be as high. But I remember when I was a kid, people would act like when you take creatine, you get so much bigger, and there were some kids who did get huge off like creatine. Well, I won't say off creatine, but when they started taking creatine, they got huge. But I don't think that was the creatine. I think they just started going harder in the gym. And they happened to start taking creatine once they started getting harder in the gym because they were more motivated to go to the gym. They were getting more into fitness and doing more research and whatnot. And I think all the things came together. All the pieces of the puzzle came together. It wasn't just the creatine. You know what I mean? Because there were also a bunch of kids who took creatine. And you saw a bit of a difference, but it wasn't like, crazy. But you do see a difference with creatine. You definitely do see a difference. Essentially, how creatine works, though, getting down into the science of how it works and whatnot, is that it draws extra water into your muscle cells. So it allows your muscles to retain more fluid. And it is important to drink plenty of water on creatine, not because it's going to destroy your kidneys, not because it's going to destroy your liver, but because it won't work if you don't drink water. The whole point of drinking water on creatine, the whole point of creatine is so that your muscles retain more water. So it gives that fuller look. What makes that fuller look occur and happen is literally the water. So if you're not drinking the water, then nothing's going to happen. But you need to drink the water, and you need to drink more water than usual. I remember when I first started taking it, I took a gallon to be safe because I still was a little bit afraid, like, what if it's true about the kidneys and liver? Which, I don't do that anymore. I try and drink a gallon a day just for my own health, but not because of creatine. I think that, well, I don't think, but what was recorded was that 8 to 10 cups more than the suggested amount of water intake for the normal human being who's not taking creatine, do 8 to 10 cups more of water than that. But I mean, I do a gallon a day just for my own health. I think a lot of people should drink a gallon of water a day. I think it's really good for you. So I would recommend using this, introduction to creatine if you're a beginner lifter. I recommend this is a way to start incorporating a gallon of water a day into your daily routine, your diet, and your gym routine. Because I think that's really, really beneficial. And, you do see definitely good positive effects when you drink a gallon of water a day, especially when you're working out. So I do recommend that on a side note. So getting down to the bottom line of this video, should beginner lifters take creatine? 100%. Don't delay your success. It's no different really essentially than a protein powder and amino acid. It's something you literally get in food, protein rich food, and you're just getting a little bit more of that through a powder. Now granted, I'll stress this again and again, the best way to put on muscle and put on size is to eat real foods. Protein powders are good and all, protein shakes are good and all. If you got to get it in, you're a little low on your calorie intake your protein intake. I cannot stress this enough. The best way is real food. I went through a phase where I drank a bunch of protein shakes and all this stuff and wasn't really eating as much food. I was getting a lot of my protein through shakes. Trust me, eating real food, protein rich food, that is what's really going to help you see these results. But getting back onto the creatine factor, I definitely recommend all beginner lifters take this. I recommend they take it. I recommend they drink a lot of water, drink a gallon of water a day, take the creatine. You will see results. It's going to help speed up the process. It's going to help, just your overall performance in the gym and fitness journey in general. So I strongly recommend you take this. That being said, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for listening. Peace.